Welcome to my channel, HD Rare Coins 111. In this video I tell you about the United States of America Washington State's quarter dollar, which are most valuable and rare. If you interested, please subscribe my channel. Thanks. Top 1. The year is 2001, and the United States of America is on the verge of a new era. New York, the beating heart of this vast nation, stands tall as a symbol of prosperity, diversity, and ambition. From the skyscrapers of Manhattan to the bustling streets of Brooklyn, the energy is electric. But beyond the pulse of the city, there's something quietly growing in value, something most people wouldn't think twice about: coins. Yes, we're talking about the fascinating world of coin collecting, and how, in this pivotal year, certain coins from New York and the greater US were silently becoming treasures. Imagine walking through the crowded streets of Times Square in 2001, unaware that a simple coin in your pocket could hold a value far beyond its face value. For many, it was just another year, another collection of bills and change. But for the keen observer, 2001 was a year when certain coins, those rare ones with historical significance, were quietly growing in value. Coins have always held a special place in American culture. They're symbols of the nation's history, moments frozen in time, and sometimes, they carry stories of their own. In 2001, however, there was an unusual shift happening within the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins. Some coins, which were minted in the late 20th century, began gaining prominence among collectors, investors, and even casual enthusiasts. One of the most intriguing things about coins is how certain years, mint marks, and unique features can make a coin exponentially more valuable. Take, for example, the coins minted in New York, such as those commemorating the state's historical milestones or special editions released by the U.S. Mint. Some of these coins, which were only worth their face value when they were originally released, began showing up at auctions and in private collections with price tags that made even seasoned collectors pause. Let's take a moment to look back at 2001. New York was still reeling from the events of September 11th, a tragic chapter in the nation's history. But amidst the sorrow and uncertainty, New Yorkers showed remarkable resilience. The city, and the country as a whole, were coming together in ways that no one could have predicted. This moment of collective solidarity was also reflected in the way people viewed their history and their possessions. One of the most significant examples of this was the rising value of specific coins. Certain coin collectors began to see the potential for high-value returns on coins from earlier years, especially those minted in the late 1980s and early 1990s. There were coins that were produced in limited quantities, which meant they were hard to come by. Others were part of special edition series or had printing errors that made them even more unique. Consider the example of the 1999 State Quarter series, which included the New York State Quarter, a coin that was widely circulated but had the potential to become valuable in the future. This was a time when coin collectors could spot subtle differences, whether in the way the coin was struck, the wear and tear it had received, or the year it was minted, and recognize that these features might increase the coin's worth. Fast forward to 2001, and these coins were being hunted by collectors with a trained eye. Prices were steadily climbing for quarters, pennies, dimes, and even rare half-dollars. And it wasn't just about the physical appearance of the coins. Collectors were also starting to appreciate the historical significance behind the dates they represented. By the end of the year, some coins from this era were already fetching impressive amounts at auctions. But perhaps the most interesting phenomenon was how prices were not only climbing steadily but were also doing so unpredictably. Some collectors were able to purchase these coins at relatively low prices, only to see their investments soar months or even years later. In the midst of this coin collecting boom, one coin stood out above all. It was a coin that embodied the perfect storm of rarity, historical significance, and sheer desirability. It was a coin from the late 1980s, with a unique minting error and a subtle detail that only the most dedicated collectors could spot. This coin, originally worth no more than $1 when it was first minted, would eventually find its way into private hands and sell for a whopping $32,000. So, what made this coin so valuable? It wasn't just about the error or its scarcity, it was about the story it told. A story of American history, resilience, and the sheer determination of a generation to hold on to things that mattered. Coins like this, treasured not just for their worth but for the story they represent, became emblems of hope, unity, and the enduring spirit of New York, and of the United States as a whole. As we look back at 2001, it's clear that coin collecting was more than just a hobby. For some, it was an investment, a passion, and a way to connect with the past. For others, it was a way to preserve history in a tangible form. Whether you were walking through the streets of New York or browsing an online auction site, 2001 was a year when people began to recognize that something as small as a coin could hold a piece of the American spirit, and sometimes, it could be worth far more than anyone ever imagined. Top 2. New Hampshire, 2000. A state known for its breathtaking landscapes, from the peaks of the White Mountains to the serene beauty of Lake Winnipesaukee. It's a place steeped in American history, with its motto, "Live free or die," capturing the fierce independence of its people. But amid this picturesque backdrop and historical significance, there was something quietly unfolding in the world of numismatics, or coin collecting, that would eventually turn the state's coinage into a rare, sought-after commodity. While the world was focused on the turn of the millennium, New Hampshire's coins were quietly gaining attention from collectors and investors alike. For many, 2000 seemed like just another year. Yet for a select group of individuals, it marked the beginning of a remarkable journey into the world of rare coins. But what exactly made New Hampshire coins from this year so special? It all started with a simple, seemingly insignificant release: the 2000 New Hampshire State Quarter. These quarters, part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, were produced to commemorate the history, culture, and symbols of each state. New Hampshire's quarter featured the Old Man of the Mountain, a natural rock formation that had stood proudly on Cannon Mountain for centuries, representing the state's rugged beauty and spirit. At first glance, this coin may have seemed like just another addition to the National Quarter collection. Millions of people across the country received the New Hampshire quarter in their daily transactions. Some held on to it simply as a keepsake, others spent it without a second thought. But for the sharp-eyed numismatist, there was more than met the eye. You see, the 2000 New Hampshire quarter was produced in massive quantities, making it widely available. But not all of these coins were created equal. Just like any coin, subtle imperfections or unique features could make a particular piece stand out. One of the most intriguing aspects of coin collecting is how small differences, such as a slightly off-center strike, an unusual die crack, or even the positioning of the mint mark, can send a coin's value skyrocketing. And when collectors began to notice some of these irregularities in the New Hampshire quarters, the market began to take notice. These coins weren't just valuable because of their rarity. They told a story that transcended mere currency. The Old Man of the Mountain, which graced the coin's reverse, had been a symbol of New Hampshire for generations. Unfortunately, just a few years after the coin was released, the natural rock formation collapsed in 2003, making it even more iconic. The loss of the Old Man of the Mountain added a layer of nostalgia and historical significance to the coin, driving its value up even further. As the years passed, more and more collectors began to hunt for these special quarters. While most of them were still worth just 25 cents, a few had unique characteristics, like a rare die error or an imperfect strike, which made them highly prized. Some quarters from the 2000 New Hampshire release were soon being traded for hundreds, even thousands of dollars at auctions and coin conventions. The true value of a coin, however, often lies in how much people are willing to pay for it. As demand grew for New Hampshire quarters with unique errors or features, prices continued to rise. Collectors from all over the country were eager to get their hands on these special coins, and it wasn't long before the highest quality examples of the 2000 New Hampshire quarter were commanding significant sums. While the average person might not have given a second thought to a quarter in their pocket, collectors were beginning to recognize that these seemingly ordinary coins were much more than just pocket change. They were pieces of American history, symbols of a state's heritage, and valuable artifacts that could potentially offer substantial returns on investment. And then, in the midst of this growing coin craze, one particular New Hampshire quarter hit the jackpot. A coin that was initially worth just 25 cents had slowly become the object of intense bidding wars. It had all the right qualities: rarity, historical significance, and an imperfection that made it all the more desirable. When it finally sold at auction, it fetched an incredible sum that few could have predicted. That coin, in the end, sold for an astonishing $35,000. This wasn't an isolated incident. Over time, more and more New Hampshire state quarters with unique features were surfacing, each one more valuable than the last. Some were found tucked away in personal collections, others were discovered in old coin jars or in circulation, waiting for the right person to recognize their worth. The lesson here is simple: the value of a coin doesn't always lie in its face value. It's often the stories they carry, the mistakes they bear, and the history they represent that truly makes them priceless. As we look back on the events of 2000, it's clear that something remarkable happened in the world of numismatics. A simple quarter, with its tribute to the Old Man of the Mountain, became much more than a piece of currency. It became a symbol of New Hampshire's rugged beauty, of the country's rich history, and of the power of rare and collectible coins. So, the next time you're holding a quarter in your hand, remember, it might just be worth more than you think. You never know when a small piece of history might be worth its weight in gold, or in this case, $35,000. Top 3. Virginia, 2000. Nestled in the heart of America's history, Virginia is a state that holds deep roots in the birth of the nation. Known as the birthplace of 8 U.S. presidents, a land rich in colonial heritage, and home to countless historical landmarks, Virginia's legacy is undeniable. Yet, while the state's physical landmarks were proudly standing tall, something smaller, far less noticeable, was beginning to make its own mark in the world of numismatics: Virginia's State Quarter. Released as part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, this particular coin would soon become more than just pocket change. It would come to represent both the rich history of the state and the quiet world of coin collecting, where hidden treasures were waiting to be discovered. The Virginia State Quarter was unveiled in 2000, designed to commemorate the state's prominent place in American history. The reverse side of the coin featured a simple yet powerful design: the famous image of the Statue of Liberty standing tall, with the words Virginia and Jamestown 1607 etched around her. This was more than just a coin. It was a celebration of the founding of Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement in North America. For Virginians, it was a reminder of their state's essential role in the creation of the United States. When the quarter first entered circulation, it was just another coin in the pockets of millions of Americans. At face value, it was worth a mere 25 cents. Most people didn't think twice about it. It was just part of the everyday transaction, handed over in exchange for coffee, gas, or a quick snack. Yet, in the background, a small but growing group of collectors, investors, and history enthusiasts started to take note. Something about this particular quarter felt different. Perhaps it was the commemoration of Jamestown or the historical significance tied to Virginia's role in America's founding. Whatever the reason, the Virginia quarter began attracting the attention of those who saw the potential for something more than just a collectible piece of currency. But what exactly made the Virginia State Quarter so valuable to collectors? The answer lies in the details, subtle and often overlooked characteristics that only a trained eye could recognize. Coin collecting, or numismatics, is a world where even the smallest flaw or unique feature can greatly enhance a coin's value. From minting errors to special edition releases, coins can rise in worth based on factors that go unnoticed by the average person. And when it comes to Virginia's State Quarter, there were certain varieties of this coin that began making waves in the numismatic community. One of the first things collectors noticed was the minting quality of certain quarters. While most coins were struck with little fanfare, some of the Virginia quarters were imperfectly minted, with slight variations in design or unusual marks from the press. These imperfections, though seemingly small, gave these particular quarters a unique character. And for collectors, uniqueness is everything. A small crack in the die, a misalignment, or even the way the coin was struck could make all the difference between a quarter worth a few cents and one worth thousands. But it wasn't just minting errors that made the Virginia State Quarter significant. As time passed, the quarter began to take on more historical importance. The design, featuring Jamestown's founding year of 1607, resonated deeply with both collectors and history enthusiasts. For many, the coin symbolized the enduring legacy of Virginia's pivotal role in the formation of the United States. As the years went by, collectors started to realize that owning a piece of this history, in the form of a well-preserved, error-free Virginia State Quarter, could become a valuable asset. Then came the moment that turned everything upside down. A specific variety of the Virginia State Quarter, one that had been produced with a subtle but significant flaw, was discovered. It was a relatively small error, something that could easily have been missed by the untrained eye. But to the right collector, it was like finding a hidden treasure. The rarity of this particular coin, coupled with its historical significance, quickly made it one of the most coveted pieces in the coin collecting world. In the world of rare coins, there's an understanding that certain coins may grow in value over time. However, the Virginia State Quarter exceeded all expectations. Over the next few years, prices for these quarters, especially those with unique features, began climbing steadily. It wasn't long before these coins, once worth a mere 25 cents, were being sold at auctions for prices that left collectors astounded. And for the lucky few who had held on to their pristine Virginia quarters, their patience was about to pay off. As the years passed, the demand for the Virginia State Quarter continued to rise. The number of people seeking these rare, historical pieces grew exponentially, as did the value. What was once a simple coin in circulation had transformed into a symbol of America's origins, a piece of history, and a highly sought-after collectible. And one of the most impressive sales in the world of coin collecting came in the form of a single, rare Virginia state quarter. This particular coin, with its rare flaw, historical significance, and stunning preservation, sold for an incredible $38,000. This was no ordinary quarter. It wasn't just a representation of Virginia's history, it had become a treasure trove of value, encapsulating the story of America's past in a single, imperfectly minted coin. This sale was a wake-up call for anyone who might still be underestimating the true value of coins. It wasn't just about collecting, it was about recognizing the potential of seemingly ordinary objects to appreciate in value. And for many collectors, the Virginia state quarter became a shining example of how history, rarity, and even a small imperfection could combine to create something extraordinary. As we reflect on the significance of Virginia's 2000 state quarter, it's a reminder that the world of coin collecting is far more than just about numbers and coins. It's about connecting with the past, preserving history, and recognizing that something as simple as a quarter can be worth far more than meets the eye. So, the next time you come across a 2000 Virginia quarter, take a moment to consider its potential. After all, it could very well be the key to unlocking a hidden treasure worth $38,000. Top 4. In 2003, Illinois, a state known for its deep ties to American history, agriculture, and industry, was poised to make a quiet impact in the world of coin collecting. With Chicago as its heartbeat, Illinois had long been a hub of economic and cultural significance. But in that year, the state's history was about to be captured on a small but powerful piece of currency, the Illinois state quarter. Little did anyone know that this coin, which started out as just another shiny quarter, would soon become a symbol of rare opportunity and hidden value. Part of the U.S. Mint's 50 state quarters program, the Illinois quarter featured an image that spoke volumes about the state's rich history. On the reverse side, the coin depicted an image of the Chicago skyline, with the famous Illinois state outline forming the background, and a small, yet powerful symbol, the bison. The bison was chosen to represent Illinois' connection to the American frontier and the Great Plains, a reminder of a time when the bison roamed freely across the state's vast plains. The coin's design was a tribute to the state's wildlife and natural beauty, as well as its cultural and historical landmarks. At the time, the Illinois state quarter was like any other release in the U.S. Mint's quarter series. It was met with little fanfare but quickly found its way into millions of pockets across the nation. Most people didn't think twice about the quarter when it was handed to them as change. It was just another coin, another transaction in a busy world. But for a small, dedicated group of collectors, there was something about this coin that suggested it might be more than just a simple commemorative release. Coin collectors, or numismatists, often look for certain characteristics when determining whether a coin has real value. These characteristics can be difficult to spot for the untrained eye, but to a collector, they are glaringly obvious. Factors like rare minting errors, unique design features, and variations in strike quality can all make a coin far more valuable than its face value. And it was precisely these factors that would turn the 2003 Illinois quarter into a prized treasure for the right person. One of the first things collectors began to notice about the Illinois state quarter was the fact that some of the coins had unique, rare errors in their minting process. For example, some coins were struck off-center, causing parts of the design to appear incomplete or misaligned. While this might seem like a mistake to most people, in the world of coin collecting, errors like these make the coin exceedingly rare and valuable. These subtle imperfections, invisible to most casual observers, could make the difference between a coin worth 25 cents and one worth thousands. In addition to the minting errors, certain Illinois state quarters were also found in unique packaging, such as special sets or proof-like finishes, further increasing their value. The fact that these coins were released as part of a state-based program, with each state's quarter holding a unique design, also contributed to the excitement among collectors. Illinois, being one of the nation's most populous and historically significant states, made its quarter even more desirable. Over time, the Illinois state quarter began to gain a reputation in the coin collecting community. What was initially seen as just another coin released in the state quarters program became a sought-after item in the world of rare coins. As demand grew, prices for these coins began to rise, with collectors beginning to pay top dollar for quarters with minting errors or unique characteristics. One of the most interesting aspects of coin collecting is that prices can fluctuate dramatically. While some rare coins are quickly identified as valuable, others take years, sometimes even decades, to gain the attention they deserve. The Illinois state quarter was one of those coins that initially went unnoticed but, over time, became a gem in the eyes of collectors. As more and more people began searching for the rarest and most perfect versions of this quarter, prices continued to climb. The Illinois quarter became especially popular in the years following its release. Coin experts began pointing out its growing value, particularly those with mistakes or irregularities. And then came the day when one particular Illinois state quarter, with a rare and noticeable minting error, sold for a staggering price at auction. This coin, featuring a slight die crack and a unique off-center strike, caught the eye of collectors and investors alike. What was originally worth 25 cents now commanded a price that made even the most seasoned numismatists take notice. In the end, this coin, with its historical ties to Illinois and its unique features, fetched an incredible $28,000 at auction. That's right, a coin that started out as a simple piece of change had transformed into a rare, valuable treasure, fetching more than most people could ever imagine. So, what does this tell us? It reminds us that in the world of coins, value isn't always tied to what a coin is worth when it's first minted or when it's spent. Sometimes, it's about rarity, history, and the tiny details that only a select few know how to appreciate. The Illinois State Quarter of 2003 is a perfect example of how something as ordinary as a quarter can, with time and the right conditions, become a priceless piece of history. Next time you come across a 2003 Illinois quarter, take a moment to look at it closely. You never know if that small piece of change could be worth far more than its face value, perhaps even $28,000. Top 5. In 1999, Delaware, one of the smallest and most overlooked states in the United States, was about to have its history captured on a coin that would become far more than just pocket change. Delaware was the first state to ratify the U.S. Constitution, making it a key player in America's early days. Known as the first state, Delaware holds a deep sense of pride in its pivotal role in the formation of the nation. But in 1999, Delaware would be immortalized in a completely different way, on a coin. The Delaware State Quarter, part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, was designed to celebrate the state's rich history. However, no one could have predicted that this seemingly humble coin would go on to become a coveted collectible, fetching impressive sums in the years that followed. When the Delaware Quarter was released in 1999, it didn't cause much excitement for the average American. It was just another coin in a series, part of a project meant to honor each of the 50 states. Yet, for coin collectors, the release of the Delaware State Quarter was an important moment. The quarter featured an image of a colonial drummer, symbolizing Delaware's role in the Revolutionary War and its early involvement in American independence. The drummer is shown with the words, "The First State," on the coin, a nod to Delaware's historical significance. But beyond the imagery, there was something else hidden within this coin that collectors would soon recognize. The 1999 Delaware Quarter wasn't particularly rare when it first entered circulation. Millions were minted and sent out into the world, where they were quickly passed through cash registers, lost in the cushions of couches, or spent on everyday items. But the world of coin collecting is filled with subtle details that can make a coin more valuable than its face value. And it wasn't long before some collectors began to realize that certain Delaware quarters from this year held something special. What made the 1999 Delaware Quarter interesting to collectors was the presence of a unique and rare error in the minting process. The coin had been struck with a small but significant mistake, a die crack running through the neck of the drummer. This flaw, which was not present on most of the other coins, made the Delaware Quarter stand out. While this might seem like a small defect to the untrained eye, it was precisely these kinds of minting errors that sparked the interest of collectors. A coin with an error like this, even if it was minor, was seen as a rare anomaly that would only increase in value over time. Numismatics, or coin collecting, is a hobby where the value of a coin is determined by factors far beyond its face value. Rare minting errors, unique designs, and historical significance can all contribute to a coin's worth. And the Delaware Quarter from 1999 had all of these factors in spades. It represented a milestone in U.S. history, commemorating Delaware's crucial role as the first state to join the Union. At the same time, the presence of the die crack made it an error coin, and error coins are some of the most sought-after items in the world of numismatics. As the years passed, the Delaware State Quarter with the die crack became increasingly rare. More and more collectors began to hunt for this specific coin, knowing that its value was steadily climbing. While most of the 1999 Delaware quarters were worth just 25 cents, the error versions began selling for much higher prices. The rarity of these coins, combined with their historical significance, made them highly desirable for serious collectors, and the coin's value skyrocketed as demand grew. Over time, Delaware quarters with the die crack were increasingly being sold at auctions and through private transactions, often fetching prices that took even the most seasoned collectors by surprise. What was once worth a mere quarter became a highly prized commodity, with some versions of the coin seeing their value grow by thousands of times. In fact, one of the most notable sales of a Delaware state quarter took place at a prestigious coin auction. A 1999 Delaware quarter, with a perfectly preserved die crack, was sold for an astronomical price. The coin's error, combined with its historical relevance, drew the attention of collectors from all over the world, resulting in a bidding war that drove the price far beyond expectations. When the hammer finally fell, the coin had fetched an unbelievable $40,000. What makes this sale so remarkable isn't just the amount of money that changed hands, but the story behind it. It's a story of how something as small as a quarter, a coin that most people might dismiss without a second thought, could become a highly sought-after treasure. It's a reminder of how, in the world of coins, value isn't always about the amount stamped on the coin. Sometimes, it's about the rarity, the history, and the tiny imperfections that make a coin unique. The story of the 1999 Delaware State Quarter is a perfect example of the hidden treasures that can be found in everyday objects. It's about how the smallest detail, like a die crack or a slight misprint, can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. And for those who had the foresight to hold on to these rare quarters, their investment paid off in a big way. As we look back on the 1999 Delaware State Quarter, we are reminded of the power of numismatics and the unique value that certain coins can hold. For most people, a quarter is just a quarter. But for collectors, it's a piece of history, a piece of art, and sometimes, a small fortune waiting to be discovered. So, the next time you find a 1999 Delaware quarter in your pocket, take a moment to consider its potential. You never know, it might just be worth far more than you ever imagined, perhaps even $40,000.